So as we continue, we mentioned that student number 1, which is the project manager, has 2 days off, 12 and 13 of October. And when we go to assigning resources, so simply you click here and then you go to the third column, and I did that. I just picked the students and I put like 100%. You can choose different numbers. So let's say for all of them so far we use 100% here, and then you use 100% here, and so as for these ones until we go to this, and still I'm using 100%. Now, as I mentioned, when you go to resources, this particular problem happens here because if we start the project on October 12, so student number 1, which is the project manager, is not available. So now we have 3 choices here. Either we have to postpone the entire project by 2 days, which you have to go here. Then when this task, which is the first task, clearing the site, you click on it. So in this section here, so all you do, you go here, beginning date instead of 12 would be 14, and you click here. See, everything is shifted 2 days, and of course this is causing the delay in the project with 2 days. But you gotta go back here. Now things are clear because these 2 days the person is not available. So if I don't want to do that, so let's go back and cancel what we did here. We start on 12, so the project takes this task takes 2 days. We have the same problem here. So in that case, the second choice would be, maybe we don't need project manager here. So maybe we can remove this person, and then someone else could be coordinator, and this perfectly solve the problem because we don't need this person for the first stage. And the final solution for this case would be perhaps you change the timing of here, or change the dependency if it's possible. So we have to see which is the best solution. Or basically another way is that we have to remove that 2 days off from student number 1. So anyway, so I continue adding all until we end up here. Now let's just put the resources defined and allocated for installing plumbing. And if I use 100, 100, and 100 here, you can anticipate what's going to happen here. When I click here, I have this problem that in this particular day, because there are 2 concurrent tasks are in progress, and I assign both 3 students for number 1 and the same students 100% for number 2, I have the problem that we have 200% usage of my manpower is not possible. So therefore, logically in this case, I have to come and modify that. And let's say, for example, I remove student number 1 from this task, and we give each of them 50%. So now, okay, it's good. You have student 2 and 3. So we'll go back here. Still, there's a problem here, and for this particular one, so I have to change it also. I can have a student 1. I have it here maybe 40% and 10%. Go back here, and now you can see here, as it shows, while student 1 100% is being occupied in first task, and then we have 60 and 90% of student 2 and 3. So the remaining would be 40% for student 2 and 10% student 3 for this task. So particularly if I go here, I can use student 1, so I use 40% of his time or her time, and then here I can use only 10%. And if I go back here, everything should be clear, and you can see that they're using all here, and of course they are free here 50%. And finally this one, I can use again all my resources here. So this is a very important tool to verify how much of the manpower is being used. Of course, in terms of students, perhaps if you're booking the project, maybe you consider only 100% of the time that you can allocate per day. So it doesn't have to be 12 hours or the entire time. We call it 2 hours and 100% of that 2 hours basically, and maybe someday you cannot do that. Okay, this again, Gantt chart is very important to create a roadmap. It's a live timeline for the project, but also there is other chart that we can use here, and that's the PERT chart. We mentioned about that in our previous lecture, and with Gantt project simply you can define that, and you can see here those two tasks which were installing plumbing and landscaping. These are the float one. If I go back here, these two float one, and I see here these two, so they come here in the PERT chart, and it shows that this is the critical path, and this is how long it takes for a project to be completed. You see 2 plus 3 plus 1 plus 1 plus 2. You can add them up here, and this will be how long it takes for the project to be completed. So in this particular case, it's going to be 10 days. And these two are the two tasks that we don't need to be too concerned about them. You can simply change them here if you want to put it here, or like, you know, whatever step you want. If you have more complex, so obviously you can do that. There are a few other techniques that you can use here, and there are other features. For example, you can use this up and down button to change the perhaps sequence. I can bring it down here, or I can bring it up there. So sometimes, not very often, maybe occasionally, when you have one task, this task has maybe 2 or 3 subtasks under itself. So in that case, you can use the other two buttons here. One is indent and one is unindent. So for example, if I decide to put, let's say, painting as a part of plumbing, so I just do like this, click these two and do like this, and you can see here now my installing or install plumbing goes underneath, and this is how it looks like here. So if I want to actually bring it back here, simply I can do that. So we can put maybe more, maybe put all of these underneath, and then you can see what happens here. So these, we have two. We have painting has one subtask, which is actually landscaping. Maybe I just magnify a little bit. So painting has landscaping, and we have the second one here, which is electrical, has one subcategory, which is installing plumbing. So if you want to go back here, just simply go here, click here, and you can do that. And of course the relation is going to be changed here. Other features here to talk about is, for example, sometimes you want to add a column here. So in that case, you go here and you click, go to Gantt and click here. So you can add notes, or you can add a column. Let's just assume I want to add a column. It's called duration, and this column I call it double, 2 digits. As soon as you add here, it's gonna come, and then I can add the duration here. For example, 2 days and 3 days, and so on, if I want that. Or I can simply, let's just delete this. So I have to delete it for add another one. And what I do, I in terms of here, I call it test, for example. You can even have it as a yes or no. The default is yes, and I add that here. Go back here. Oh, now sometimes actually this is what happens. Sometimes the graphic get a little stuck here, and I don't know why. Let me just go open and close. Oh no, we don't have much anyway. That's not good. close this. No, it doesn't come. Maybe quit. Let's save it and go back here. So it's a very good idea to save that. I'll show you also a feature that you can save, and you can register it as a version of it, and you can add so many versions as you go along. It's good that you have, even in one project, you can save few. This is the one we have. That looks a little better. You can see it did actually what we wanted to. So you have duration here, and you add here, and then you can click on it, whatever is that, yes or no, and positive or negative. One more thing is, if you click on, just hover the mouse above that, so you will see this black triangle comes. You can simply extend it, and it can show how much of this task has been done. So like, for example, if I go like this here and like go this much, so for example, if this task has to be done in 4 days, and assumingly each day you have to 25%, and you are in day 3 and you have done 25%, that you know for sure that you are behind and something has to be done about this task. So these relations can be changed. Also, you can create different dependency. You can actually change the size here if you need to do that. What else? So if you want to get a little more advanced, you can actually import resources from Microsoft Project. So you can go say import here, and as you can see that you have two possible input. Either is a Gantt format, or you have Microsoft Project. In resources, you can also send email to one resource. Task properties here, so you can also actually make milestone, and I'll show you how to do that. For example, if I want to add another task here, let's go here, add one more task, and I call it finish. And here, this is my finish. So instead of defining it, I just click here as milestone. You can change the color here, dark blue, and here is going to be milestone only. I can define that this milestone is happening, let's say on 22nd, this part. So but the problem here, if I add this one, for some reason this version sometimes it doesn't give you, and depends on where the milestone is, it doesn't give you the path. So I give you an example. If I move this one from 24th to 26 or 7, and I discovered that from even older version, then you see by clicking the path, it doesn't give me the critical path, because it somehow in the coding of it think about this is not correct and is not feasible. So I have to bring it before the end of the task. If you bring it back, and sometimes even when you bring it back, it doesn't do it again. It did previously, but now maybe it doesn't do it, and I can see it doesn't do it actually. So this is another maybe bug in the system. But if you don't need the milestone, you can just maybe simply take it away. I think this is as far as the basic part goes. Again, you can do so many things. You can go to settings here. You can change the settings. You can change the appearance of it. So there's different parameters you can change here. Language. You can actually export it from other programs here. You know that you can have a comma or tab formatted from Excel. So this is up to you to take it to the next level. I personally found that it's very easy to use here. Sometimes if your task is too, the whole project line is too small, you can magnify it, and if you're missing where you are, just click here and bring in the center. So if you make it too small, then instead of days it goes to week, and again you can go left and right by doing this way. So as I mentioned, you can also save different version of it here. You can show it, you can go here to previous version, previous state, or you can compare it and put it here, save as 1, and this stage is 1. I can change something and go back and I look at it. Anyway, this is as far as this brief introduction of Gantt project goes. I hope this will be helpful. Thank you very much.